GS2 Part C is international relations. So, like any other main subject, even this has the static component as well as the dynamic component. Dynamic component, you'll have to refer current affairs, wherein that will be addition to your answers. And static component is what you already know, and what you need to know now is how do you attach the static and the dynamic component so that you come out with an answer. Okay. And with regard to international relations, the first topic that will be covering is India and its neighbors. Yeah, we have neighboring countries, right? So which are the countries which neighbor India? Bangladesh, China, Pakistan, Nepal, Myanmar, Bhutan, and Afghanistan. Even with Afghanistan, we share a boundary. So it's with all these countries, what is India's relation and how is India managing it, the history, and what are the conflicts at present. All this we'll be looking at. And the second one will be bilateral, multilateral, or grouping. Bilateral groupings, multilateral groupings, we have, right? Different nations, they come together and they form a group like BRICS, SCO, and a lot of other organizations. Yes. And also some international agencies will be covering all this in international relations. So when it comes to India and its neighbors, the first neighbor that pops in your head, Pakistan. Pakistan. So first we'll deal with India, Pakistan. India, Pakistan. So even before we jump into the relationship between India and Pakistan, let's try to understand the history. Yeah, of course, we have a shared culture, right? Pakistan is not a new country altogether. It was nothing but an offshoot of India, correct? So when it comes to history, we're all familiar with two nation theory. Two nation theory proposed by Jinnah. Yeah, wherein they said that you give a separate country for Muslims and separate for Hindus. And after this, during partition, that was in 1947, yeah, that was in 1947, there was mass exodus. That is, there were Hindus coming from Pakistan to India and Muslims going from India to Pakistan. And that was, there were many clashes as well, yeah, during this mass exodus of people. And after that, you should know about the princely states. Why are you telling about princely states, sir? We have one, during the time of partition, there were 500 plus princely states, 500 plus princely states, and most of them, they were ready to submit to India and they joined the Indian Union. But there were three princely states which were not willing to join India. Which are the three? Junagadh, Hyderabad, and Kashmir. Okay, the first two is not important. I mean, I'll just recap. Junagadh, it was a Hindu populated state. So easily it acceded to India. So Junagadh is done. And Hyderabad, there is this Nizam of Hyderabad. He wanted Hyderabad to accede or to join Pakistan. Where is Hyderabad? Where is Pakistan? Yeah. So because of the geographical location, Hyderabad was not able to join Pakistan, and by means of police action, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, he united Hyderabad, Junagadh. Yeah. So these two are done and dusted. But with regard to Kashmir, the last ruler of Kashmir is Raja Hari Singh. Raja Hari Singh. He was in a state of dilemma. He was thinking, whether do I join India or do I join Pakistan? He was in a state of dilemma. And it was during this time that Jinnah grew impatient. Jinnah grew impatient. So what he did was, he sent the tribal Muslims there, tribal Muslim population around Kashmir. He sent them to evade Pakistan. So there are tribal Muslims in the front. Behind them is the Pakistani army. Okay. And as soon as Raja Hari Singh got to know this, he will call Nehru and say, I will join the Treaty of Accession. What is it? Treaty of Accession. And he will sign Treaty of Accession. As soon as Treaty of Accession is signed, Indian Army will recapture Kashmir. and that is the beginning of Kashmir issue. That is when Kashmir will start. Initially, it was just a battle of identity. Initially, it was just a battle of location, but now it is a battle of identities. Yeah. So, with regard to Kashmir, this is what you need to know. I mean, the history part. So, Raja Hari Singh and India, Raja Hari Singh will sign the Treaty of Accession, and Kashmir will become a part of India. But Pakistan is not satisfied. What Jinnah thought was, since Kashmir is a Muslim populated, Muslim majority state, and it has geographical proximity to Pakistan, so it is very easy for Pakistan to capture Kashmir. That is what Jinnah thought. But as soon as Hari Singh signed the instrument of accession, it's completely Indian territory, and we can let the Indian army there. Yeah. So that is about the princely states. And as soon as this, there was the 1947-48 war. Remember, we have 3 bitter wars with Pakistan. Do you have any idea, like when the wars happened? Yeah. First war was in 1947-48. Yeah, there was a war, but it was not a full-blown war. But the 3 important wars was in 1965, and the next one was in 1971. I'll tell you about these wars, what happened. And the last one was Cargill, 1999. Okay, we have 3 important wars with Pakistan. Yeah. And in 1947-48, it was just to recapture Kashmir. It was not a full-scale war because there was partition happening and India was trying to arrange itself, orderly arrangement. And these are the 3 full-blown wars that happened. So coming to the first war, 1965 war. In 1965, Pakistan, it got weapons from US and UK. So from US and UK, it got weapons. At the same time, there was Nehru's death. Nehru died post 1962 war. Yeah. So this was the time that Pakistan thought, okay, India is in a weak position right now, and it is time for us to attack and capture Kashmir. Okay. So Nehru was no more. That is one more reason that Pakistan tried to attack India. After this, when Pakistani army tried to, they captured POK. This is when they captured POK. And India, from a defensive, it got offensive. So when Pakistan was trying to capture, okay, if this is Jammu, when Pakistan was trying to capture in and around POK here, from here, that is from Punjab, Indian army marched till Lahore, and Pakistan had to surrender. Post this, we have the agreement called Tashkent Agreement. This Tashkent Agreement was in 1966. So what will happen in Tashkent Agreement is, Tashkent is in Uzbekistan. Russia will try to broker peace between India and Pakistan. Why? Because in 1965, US supported Pak. So when US is supporting Pak, who will support India? So obviously Russia. So Russia will try to broker peace, and that is when Tashkent Agreement will happen. Yeah, but this peace was not long lasting, and India was also not content because there was this Hajipir Pass that India surrendered to Kashmir, to Pakistan. This was not a long lasting solution because nowhere in the agreement was it mentioned that Pakistan will never ever try to meddle in Kashmir issues. So this was not a satisfying agreement. Yeah. So this completely failed. And the next one was in the 1971. Why this was in 1966? 5 years down the line, we already have a war again in 1971. So what will happen in 1971 was Bengali nationalism grew. You know, when there was partition, there was East Bengal and West Bengal. Yeah. So in East Bengal, there was Bengali nationalism. So, you know, East Bengal is nothing bordering West Bengal or West Bengal. So there are Bengalis. And this Bengali nationalism, it was against the Urdu and the Punjab nationalism. Urdu nationalism, you find it in Pakistan. Urdu Punjab nationalism, you find it in and around Pakistan and the West Pakistan. Yeah, that is where the Punjabi belt. Yeah, Punjabi belt. So Bengali nationalism grew, and since East Bengal was a part of West Pakistan, East Pakistan was a part of West Pakistan. West Pakistan sent its troops to East Pakistan. Once there was this Bengali nationalism, Pakistani army tried to suppress this. Pakistani army tried to suppress this, and all the Bengalis, there was genocide, there were war crimes. War crimes, war crimes, matlab, the army, it tries to kill without any order, and women being raped, children being killed, yeah, and also genocide, that is mass murders. And there were war crimes committed by Pakistani army. And what happened because of this was people from East Bengal, they tried to enter our West Bengal, Assam, Tripura, in and around those regions. That is when, who was the prime minister back then? Indira Gandhi. Indira Gandhi had no other option, yeah, because there was mass exodus of people coming, and the international community was quiet on this. Nobody came up with anything. The US, the Russia, they were involved in their own issues. So nobody voiced out any opinion. And that is when Indira Gandhi will decide, okay, there is mass exodus of people coming, and that is going to be a burden, right, on India. They come here, we need to give them food, water, shelter, space, everything. India is already populated. And that is when Indira Gandhi will take on the offensive. That is when she will call General Manik Shah. Okay, and Manik Shah will advise, I can get my army there, but it's going to be a full-scale war because Indian army is going to Pakistani territory. Are you ready for this? Indira Gandhi said, I have no option, I'll take it up. And that is when the Indian army will enter the Pakistani space within matter of 2 weeks, less than 2 weeks, 13 days. 13 days, East Pakistan is captured. East Pakistan is captured and it is completely under India's control. Yeah. And there were around 93,000 prisoners of war. Pakistani army, it was captured. And I was just watching this documentary on YouTube, Manik Shah's documentary. Manik Shah, he lived for 103 years. I mean, very great personality in the Indian army. There was Indian army and there was Pakistani army. Pakistani army that was captured is prisoner of POW, that is prisoners of war. And the POWs, they were getting better facilities than the Indian army. It is what he says. And there were people questioning Manik Shah, what is this? What are you trying to do? You are giving better facilities to them. They are POWs. You need to be you need to have some concern for them. That is what Manik Shah says. And those are all stories. Those are all stories. And that is how in 1971, Pakistan will lose Bangladesh, and there is this Bangladesh that's come up. Yeah. And when I discuss more on Bangladesh, I'll speak. India, one of India's neighboring countries is Bangladesh, and with Bangladesh also we have relations. I'll speak more in detail, but you should know that 1971 war was with Pakistan. Yeah. Post this, in 1972, we have Shimla Agreement. So this Shimla Agreement will be between India and Pakistan. That is the premiers. There will be Zulfikar Ali Bhutto on one side, and who is on the Indian side? Indira Gandhi. Please remember, Tashkent Agreement was between Ayub Khan, the military general of Pakistan, and Lal Bahadur Shastri. There is this movie also, I guess, Tashkent Files. Yeah. So in this Shimla Agreement, there are 3 important outcomes. The first outcome is Kashmir is a bilateral issue. So why is this important? Why is this point important? Why is this point important? Kashmir is a bilateral issue. Why is this point important? It is important because Kashmir issue is being internationalized by Pakistan. They're trying to take it to the international community. And as per Shimla Agreement, Kashmir is a bilateral issue. And since it's a bilateral issue, there should not be any third-party country interfering in Kashmir issue, be it US, be it China, or any other country. Yeah. So please do remember this point. In Shimla Agreement, Kashmir was clearly stated to be a bilateral issue, and whatever the ceasefire at that point of time, ceasefire, it was converted into LOC, that is line of control. ceasefire was converted into LOC, and also they agreed to mutually respect the territories, mutual respect. Both India and Pakistan, they need to mutually respect each other's territory, territorial integrity. These were the outcomes of Shimla Agreement. Post this, the next war that we are going to come up with is 1999 Cargill War. I guess the movie Sher Shah is about this war. Yeah, Sher Shah. So what happens in Cargill War was India will test two nuclear weapons. One in 1974, that is Pokhran 1. Yeah, Pokhran 1, also called as Smiling Buddha. Yeah. Next, in 1998, also it will have a nuclear test. India will do a nuclear test during Vajpayee's tenure. During Vajpayee's tenure, India will do one more nuclear test in 1998, and this will escalate tensions. This will escalate tensions. So, since there was tension happening, India was trying to give olive branch near the border, that is army personnel. They were going to Pakistani army, giving olive branches, say peace, 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 peace. But Pakistani, at the other end, it is trying to infiltrate terrorists along line of control. Along line of, if this is line of control, these are points where Pakistan is, Pakistani army has a base. From here, Pakistan is sending terrorists. There are multiple ways it is sending terrorists. Underground, over the sky, from the water. 2008 Mumbai attacks, where they didn't come crossing the border. They came through sea. If you watch the documentaries, you will get to know that they came through sea. They didn't come over the ground. Yeah. So that is when India said, okay, India was watching all this, and India took from the defensive to the offensive, and it recaptured Kashmir. Even there, then they tried to capture POK again in 1999. It recaptured, and this is when Pakistan will have an embarrassment in the international community. International community will say, Pakistan, you are meddling too much. You are meddling too much. Forget Kashmir. Enough. Because now Russia-Ukraine war is happening. We have no idea when this is going to turn out into a blown up war wherein all the countries are going to participate. And we are already, there were media reports saying that this is going to be the beginning of World War III. Yeah, there were media reports and people were scared. People were scared, and it was good that India completely stopped it. It took from the defensive to the offensive and captured, and that is the end of Cargill War. Okay, this is about the history, 3 wars.